A Russian FPV drone was lurking on the road for an attack. Ukrainian soldiers, realizing the situation, destroyed the drone at close range before it could take off. Double ambush by FPV UAVs with fiber optic cables on a vehicle with Ukrainian soldiers and an ambush in the Sumy region. In the second part of the video, a double FPV UAV attack on a HMMWV of the Ukrainian armed forces in the Sumy region.
Don't forget to leave your opinion about the video in the comments, subscribe and like.
The Russian armed forces destroyed the deployment point of a thermal defense brigade in Donetsk with FAB 3000 aerial bombs. The Air Force of the Western Ground Forces destroyed a Ukrainian UAV control center. The footage shows that a Ukrainian UAV control point in the Bogoslavsky direction was accurately hit and destroyed by an LMUR KH-39. Footage of the fire support group of the Russian armed forces operating in one of the directions in the NWO zone. Ukrainian positions were fired at close range. In the morning, another transport vehicle carrying Ukrainian armed forces personnel was destroyed in the direction of Kharkiv. The FPV drone managed to hit the target with nimble maneuvers without hitting any trees. Zaporizhia direction. Novgorod Prince of Novgorod Vandal drones with Russian fiber optics hit the Ukrainian armed forces in the bushes. They also blew up PWDs where fighters were trying to hide. Also, one of the soldiers of the Ukrainian armed forces decided to take shelter in a house, but the house was soon destroyed. All images confirmed by objective drone footage. Drones with fiber optics hit targets after reconnaissance drones revealed the locations of Ukrainian soldiers. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to join our Telegram group. The Russian Defense Ministry reported that artillery shelling of the southern troops destroyed a UAV control center and a Ukrainian mortar located in a bunker near the Serebryanka area in Donetsk. The positions were destroyed as a result of precise calculation of coordinates by reconnaissance UAV operators. What do you think the Russian-Ukrainian war would have been like without drones? Leave your thoughts in the comments. The artillery of the Southern Troop Group destroyed the communications center of the armed forces of Ukraine. Soldiers of the Southern Troop Group in the Seversk direction destroyed the communications center of the 54th Mechanized Brigade of the Armed Forces of Ukraine with an accurate hit. Sumy direction. Together with the 76th Airborne Division's reconnaissance work in the Nikolskoye settlement, the Rubicon aircraft detected and destroyed a Ukrainian pickup truck. A great example of a chase. The pickup driver, despite all his efforts, did not survive the attack. The calculations of the Molnia-2 UAVs of the northern troops destroyed positions, fortresses, military equipment, and manpower of the Ukrainian armed forces in the SSE area on the Kharkiv direction. Smoke is rising in Krasnoarmysk. UAV control centers on fire. 3 BPLA control points of the 155th, separate mechanized and 25th separate airborne brigades of the AFU were destroyed by Russian UAV operators. An FPV UAV destroyed a Ukrainian armed forces watercraft in the village of Klebenbyk in Donetsk. As the Russian Ministry of Defense noted, this will complicate the enemy's transfer of reserves, supplies, and ammunition to the reservoir area. The Russian Defense Ministry announced that the Russian armed forces destroyed the deployment point of a Ukrainian armed forces brigade near Krasnoarmysk with FAB-3000 aerial bombs. Kharkiv direction. FPV image of the antagonist group destroys the equipment of the armed forces of Ukraine. During the day in this direction, several pickup trucks of the armed forces of Ukraine were destroyed. Soldiers now have to walk. If possible, they are trying to verify the destruction of the destroyed vehicles with objective cameras, because sometimes there are comments like, "There is no footage of the destruction of the vehicle you say was destroyed." Because of such comments, objective imaging is tried to be done, but it may not always be possible. In the village of Krivonosovka, Sumy Oblast, opposite Bryansk Oblast, Russian geraniums hit the houses where AFU GUAR troops were hiding. Although the moment of impact is not shown, it is clear that the building they entered disappeared, and another was damaged. The targets were erased from the map. In the direction of Krasnoarmysk, the reconnaissance drone of the Ukrainian forces was tracked, and the UAV control center was revealed. Preparations for the attack were made, and a fiber optic drone was sent to attack. The position was destroyed by a single strike. Russian troops continue to clear the road to Konstantinovka. This image shows the northern entrance to the town, the village of Novodmitrivka. A 120-meter mortar was found during aerial reconnaissance. The 27th Artillery Regiment's UAV pilots destroyed the mortar. Russian FPV drone operators destroyed another Ukrainian drone control point. The electronic devices and position were destroyed by the attack of several FPV drones. In this direction, Ukraine's birds in the sky were disconnected. The frontline troops were deprived of the assistance of drone operators. Kharkiv direction. Another hunter, using the FPV drone VT-40, finally lost Bukanka. The drone operator seems to be very angry. He shot the vehicle in the night and shot it again in the morning. Unable to let go of his anger, the operator launched a third attack to wipe it off the map completely. Even scrap metal no longer exists in this world. Armored vehicles are on fire. In Seversk, a fake armored personnel carrier belonging to the Ukrainian Armed Forces, based on a T-90-M self-propelled gun, was destroyed by a fiber-optic FPV unmanned aerial vehicle. Russian artillery is continuously firing on Ukrainian armed forces soldiers along the entire front line. The footage was recorded by Ukrainian soldiers. Soldiers from the 123rd Separate Motorized Rifle Regiment of the Southern Military District destroyed a Ukrainian Armed Forces drone shelter and a command center. Ukrainian positions were identified during an aerial reconnaissance mission in the Seversky direction as part of the special military operation. After obtaining the coordinates, FPV drone operators immediately struck the shelter, its personnel, and the UAV control center. Russian Air Force planes are striking Ukrainian positions in the direction of Konstantinovka with FAB bombs. Shows Taus's work at the Ukrainian Armed Forces fort near the village of Muravka. Footage of a Ukrainian Armed Forces drone control center being destroyed near the village of Dylivka by drone operators belonging to the Southern Forces Group. The footage shows artillery unit attacks. A Russian fiber-optic drone is heading towards Konstantinovsky and entering the Ukrainian Armed Forces UAV control center, where it is powerfully destroying a 4-rotor UAV control point. The building where the Ukrainian armed forces were hiding has been destroyed. During surveillance, 2 Ukrainian armed forces ATVs were spotted carelessly left in open terrain. The Russian forces do not tolerate such mistakes, and both ATVs were immediately destroyed. Additionally, it appears that the building mentioned earlier, which the Ukrainian armed forces entered during their retreat, has been destroyed. Although 2 soldiers continued to move around, the last building they entered was destroyed. Russian UAV operators in the Krasnoliman direction discovered the launch site of Baba Yaga and other targets. The operator immediately assigned Prince Vandal of Novgorod, who staged a powerful explosion at the positions. A group of 7 Ukrainian soldiers were advancing toward the front line when they encountered a Russian drone. They had time to get out of the vehicle and did so quickly. They narrowly escaped the Russian drone attack, but their vehicle was destroyed. Now they have to walk. Successful work of Russian UAV operators. UAV operators of the 3rd Combined Arms Army of the South detected and destroyed a Ukrainian mortar in the basement of a destroyed building, near Seversk. Advance on the outskirts of Seversk. The 6th Cossack Brigade's assault units are advancing towards the city. Another position of the Ukrainian armed forces was captured. Unable to withstand the attack of the Cossack soldiers, the Ukrainian armed forces chose to lay down their arms and surrender as prisoners of war. Soldiers of the 135th Assault Battalion of the Vostok Group of the Russian Armed Forces in Buryatia destroyed a Ukrainian FPV UAV with an accurate shot. The work of people with the call signs Ataman and Bison, South Donetsk direction. Don't forget to join our Telegram group. Russian T-80BV unit destroys a mortar of the Ukrainian armed forces near Seversk. Drones were used in addition to artillery strikes. The targets were destroyed as a result of the harmonious work of both units.